Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi Fruit Loop. What you know?
Did you know that the average person, sorry about my voice, the average person will spend 6 months of their life waiting for red lights to turn green?
Yep, I believe it.
6 months.
6 months. That sounds about right.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, what?
Interesting.
So it says the average time spent waiting at a red light is 75 seconds.
Yeah, and there's some it's a lot longer. I don't know if the little sensor's worn out, but there's one I have to run at night because I it's not in the best part of town and right
Yeah.
over there near Lakeview.
Oh, yeah. Ain't nobody coming. Just go.
Yeah, I just go and just wait for the blue lights, but so far so good. So I'm super excited because I just saw on Facebook before we went on, there's a big announcement about Hamilton coming to Greenville,
Yeah.
and we are Hamilton freaks.
It's coming to Peace Center, right?
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to get up and see when these things are going on sale because my kids, my girls, just we are always jamming to Hamilton. So
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Sarah could probably get up there and sing half of them.
Oh, she could. Yeah, she just boot. She wants to play Eliza on Broadway. That's like her dream right now. So, and then Sherlock. First of all, I don't know why he attacks me when the weather's bad, but when it snowed, he kept attacking me. It's monsooning out there right now, and he came in soaking wet, attacked me. Whatever.
He thinks you're Mother Nature. You're
He
in
thinks I
charge.
can control the weather. I'm not Zulima,
You are
Sherlock.
God.
But the other day, Fruit Loop, me and Sarah Rose were going, I was taking her to school, and we hear the cat meowing, and it sounds like it's above. So I'm looking in the trees, freaking out, thinking Sherlock's stuck in a tree. Finally, Sarah spots him. He's across the street on my neighbor's roof. But here's what's funny. Where like it comes to a point and then it goes back down?
Yeah.
Like it was just his eyes and his nose, and he was hiding from us. And it was the funniest thing ever.
It was like he was playing a trick on you.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like he was peeking over and it hit me out and then he'd go back down. It was really funny. So
That's
we're going to get started. There's a lot to talk about.
yeah.
Pryor has done filed his fanny off today.
Pryor earning that money. He earning that the house money there.
I'll tell you what. All right, but real quick about Lori. So I think yesterday was the deadline for the 180 days. I checked VineLink. She's still in supervised custody in another facility. So that tells me she's still there now. We've had people ask, do you think she's competent? No. Does it mean that she's not competent? No. Because here's the thing. It could totally be a situation where they're having to arrange her transportation for her safety. So let's not assume the worst until we hear, but I kind of assume the worst. So there was an order to seal her competency reports, of course. And the order says that the submission of the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare records, Dr. Cushman's report, Dr. Lyons' report will be sealed because the information in the report concern Lori's mental health records and restorative treatment records. And it goes on to say that her privacy interests in having her mental health treatment records remain confidential. And that's more important than the public's interest in having the information disclosed, which is typical. It's a HIPAA thing. It is what it is.
Sure. Like I don't know. Like you
Yeah.
can go 50-50, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's always I always tell my kids, like, until you hear bad news, like, don't assume bad news.
yeah.
Because if it's bad news, you're going to hear it anyway.
Yeah.
I just feel bad for the families. And, I mean, all of their victims did not have this much luxury of their needs being met.
Yeah.
And it bothers everybody.
You were competent until, and I forgot the date of when she went, but you were competent all that time. You were competent when you were walking the streets of Hawaii.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You were competent then.
Yeah, I think it's a game. I think if anything has happened, there's that realization that she can't wiggle out of this one. She's always wiggled out, and that's a hard pill to swallow, especially when you realize that, the consequences of your actions are you're never not going to be in whether it's a prison institute or a mental health institute. That's a hard. And when we did our Glimpse at Life series, where the girl I know who's serving life, she said that 9 out of 10 people, once it hits them in county jail that they're in deep doo-doo, they tend to go a little crazy.
Yeah.
So there's a difference. You know, you're not incompetent when you're covering your tracks. I've always said if she was truly crazy, she would have told the police in Arizona that, hey, I didn't kill Charles. I killed this really powerful entity.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Pryor's been on a legal filing spree today. And just these were mentioned. I'm trying to make some sense of the prosecutor stuff. But so, okay, he filed a motion to dismiss the grand jury indictment due to failure to seat an impartial grand jury.
That has to do with the motion to move, right? I just lost my train of thought.
To move the trial?
Yeah.
No, this is for the indictments. So this is for the murder charges that the grand jury brought forth.
But that's what I'm saying, though. Like he's saying that that they need to change a venue. So now you're saying this is to disqualify
the indictments, essentially.
Yeah.
He wants them thrown out. Can I just say they had a typo on this, and it said failure to Sean, SEAN, an impartial grand jury. And so, not going to lie, I'm just going to put this out there. For 15 minutes, I was looking for synonyms for Sean, and it was like Shane and Todd. And so I'm like, Sean, legal, never heard this. Maybe it's one of those weird things we don't know. I want to make sure I know how to say it. And then
our Idaho people, is it an Idaho term?
No, because I texted our friend Eric, Big E, Breaking Crime with Big E, and he was like, they fixed it. You're not crazy.
Okay.
So then he also filed a motion to disqualify the special prosecutor, set aside the indictment, and strike the death penalty.
Wow. Go Pryor.
Yeah. So they didn't strike the death penalty for Tammy or Tylee or JJ or Charles. So, okay, good luck. Motion to disqualify the prosecuting attorney. This is where I got confused. Is he now asking essentially that the whole prosecution team be taken off the case? Because it's then disqualify the out-of-state prosecuting attorney, set aside the indictment, and strike the death penalty.
Everybody out of there.
I'm like, none of y'all go. So it says, also, he's asking for disclosure of homicide and death penalty cases that Rachel Smith has served as counsel or worked on pro hoc vice or consulting capacity. So those are his filings, and there's a lot.
Yeah.
When will we hear this stuff? March 18th is the motion to sever at 11 a.m. Also to be heard that day is the motion to allow additional evidence about the grand jury, and also a motion to sequester the jury. March 23rd, I said 23rd. March 23rd, there's a motion hearing at 9:30. It's not listed what that's about. Not sure if it's this new stuff. November 9th, pretrial conference, January 9th of 2023. We go to trial.
Yeah, let's go.
Allegedly. All this is allegedly, guys.
This is all for entertainment purposes only.
But not entertainment like we laugh at you. Just for entertaining you with a 30-minute podcast right now.
We don't want to go down that road again.
I don't want to get sued.
Exactly. All right, so Chad Daybell. All right. Dude, I've been sick all week.
I know. You've been sick all weekend.
Yeah, I started on the weekend, and it ends up it was probably the flu. They diagnosed me today, and so that's probably what it is. So my brain is froggy.
I had a special ed kid. I just loved him, and anytime it was foggy outside, he'd say, "Miss Gigi, it's froggy out there." And we say that all the time now. We'll say, "It's froggy out here." Oh my gosh, I love him to pieces. Anyways, all right, let's talk about Chad.
So prosecutors in Gilbert said they will not charge Chad in the 2019 attempted murder of Brandon Boudreaux. I don't understand it.
Me either.
Like there's video of him. I mean, he's carrying tires and seats out of a Jeep.
Mm-hmm.
But he knew where they were going.
Not only that, but if you remember, we just in the not so distant past did these Gilbert documents, and you see that Alex was in constant communication before and after the attempt on his life.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
Me either, especially after this next part. What does it say?
Yeah, so this comes after the Gilbert police recommended charges for both Lori and Chad in November of last year. The Maricopa County Attorney's Office said after a lengthy and careful review of the charge of conspiracy to commit murder on Chad Daybell, the Maricopa County Attorney's Office has decided to turn down the case, citing no reasonable likelihood of conviction. Boo. I don't get it.
Go figure. I don't think he's working with them. I don't think he struck any kind of a deal. I don't get it. I need to watch Scott Reich and see, or Lori Hellis, and see if those awesome legal minds have any theories as to why this went kaput.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Very strange.
I mean, you can ride with somebody in a car and not know they were going to rob a bank, and they rob a bank and you get charged.
Yep.
So just because he was sitting his hind end at home, don't mean he shouldn't be charged in something. Come on, let's
I agree. Throw the book at these people.
Come on. So this applies only to Chad, and potential charges for Lori are still under review. As we said on our last episode, charges were never recommended for Melanice.
There you go.
So state's motion to allow additional evidence for transporting the jury.
There was a big filing by both sides on this. So the prosecution broke down the numbers, and Pryor, I kind of thought, had some valid arguments in there.
Yeah.
So let's go through what the prosecution said first.
So they received information about practices for an additional 7 counties and found there's no standard model for how venue changes are handled. In some counties, the change of venue was complete with a trial and jury selection in a new location and the cost taxed to the county of origin. In some, the selected jury was transported back to the county of origin. Several counties had the trial in the new venue, but it was staffed with personnel from the county of origin. They say the economic benefit to the citizens of Fremont and Madison County outweigh any benefits for the other issues. The figures for Fremont jury selection. So here we go. Here's the breakdown. Sheriff lodging for court and transport personnel, 30 grand. What? 30 grand?
Mm-hmm.
Parking costs for 2 weeks of jury selection, $200. Fuel costs for 2 weeks of jury selection, $744.
Yeah, let's rethink that cost, buddy, because it's going up. It's going to be like $7,044 if we get to January and we don't get no relief. But that's besides the point.
Diesel is at $4.69 a gallon right now.
In California, it's $7 a gallon. I had a friend send me a screenshot or a picture of the gas thing.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, it was over $60 to fill my Jeep. Normally, it's not even 40. Whatever.
Yeah. So meals and food costs for 2 weeks, $10,360. Overtime for 2 weeks, $10,500. Added jail costs for Chad and Lori for 2 weeks, $770 each. Hey, we would let her stay. Somebody would let them stay over. They wouldn't have to pay for that.
Dude, if they spending $10,000 for 2 weeks of food, I'm in. You're going to be eating good.
Dude, you eating steak and baked potato? You going to Outback every night or something?
Heck yeah, dude. They need to be like, you can pay them, but y'all going to Taco Bell every night.
Yeah. So total cost for Fremont County for jury selection, $53,444.
Okay, so now we're moving on to the actual trial. And this is the numbers that the prosecution has come up with. 14 personnel will have to go to cover the trial. This includes bailiffs in the courtroom, transport to and from jail, transport and security of witnesses, courtroom door security, jury transport, security, and them being sequestered. Full change of venue is going to be $269,430. And so for only jury selection, $53,444. So here's the figures for the trial broken down. Hotel and lodging, that's 14 staff members. And that's going to be $60,000 a month at a room rate of $147 a night. That's times 30 days times 4 weeks. For the jury being sequestered, they would need to hire secondary females for support at a cost currently unknown. Optional, 2 large rentals at $3,000 to $4,000 a month for the number of people involved, if large enough can be reserved.
Dude, they need to stay at the YMCA.
It's fun to stay there, dude.
Exactly.
So travel costs, parking costs are $10 a day per car. That's $1,500 in parking fees. Gas and transportation costs, that is 300. I'm sorry, my son is texting me about making sausage. And so my brain just went there in the corner.
Hey, you better watch out. He'll forget the bacon's in the
Gosh,
thing.
I swear that kid, he's dangerous in the kitchen and he's like a volunteer fireman. Okay. So 340 miles to Boise at 20 miles per gallon. That's 3,733 in fuel costs. Meal and food costs for 10 weeks, $51,800. Overtime and staffing costs, that's $21,000 a month.
Dude, I want to go on this. Let's go.
Dude, I'll tell you what, dude, they need to hire me. I'll take them out to eat. I'll drive them everywhere. We'll be like the jury Uber.
Come on, let's go.
So overtime and staffing costs, $21,000 a month, $63,000 for 3 months, and $52,500 for 10 weeks. The jail cost is a fixed rate of $55 a day in other counties. So that's $4,950 per defendant for 3 months, which equals $9,900 for both. Total for the trial being held there, $269,000, $269,430. It's math. Come on, y'all. I'm telling you, I got undiagnosed dyslexia. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
So the total for only jury selection was $53,444. The cost difference, $215,986. The reason they're doing that cost difference is because the prosecution would like to only do jury selection in Boise. Bring the jury down to Fremont and be done. So you also have Madison County. So here's their projected cost. Lodging, $174,930. Meals, $88,060. Total transportation costs, $49,517.60. They're in Idaho. Everybody would be eating potatoes on my watch.
Come on now. Cross baked. Look, y'all Idahoans. What are they called? Are they called Idahoans? I don't even know. We're South Carolinians, so
yeah.
I don't know. What y'all got there that costs so much? $88,000 to eat.
Well, I tell you what, they eating like was that Wagyu beef?
Yeah.
Like the cows that don't even touch the ground and they drink beer.
Yeah.
So office rental space, because you think about it, the prosecutors are going to need somewhere to work. $7,500. Fill-in staffing, what I'm assuming is going to be in Madison while these other people are gone. $49,400. The total for Madison County, $369,407.60. And that breaks down to $10,290 for each 10-week participant. There will be 12 full trial participants. So 12 people are going to be there the entire time.
I'm going to tell you, somebody's economy is going to be booming.
It's going to be Boise.
Yeah, and then the other economy is going to be in the tubes. Budget is gone.
We're eating cold sandwiches for lunch.
Yeah. Y'all only working 1 day a week for the rest of the year.
We're Zooming everything.
Yeah.
So 5-week participant, they break it down. If somebody's going to be there for 5 weeks, it's going to be $5,145. A single week or less participant, $1,991.40. So 12 for Madison County and Rexburg Police, they're going to need 12 individuals from the prosecutor's office, staff, and law enforcement witness for a full 10-week trial, $215,304. They say for a single week, they have 35 witnesses that will be testifying only for that week. And they note that the day a witness may be called is subject to change based on the pace of the trial and the length of the cross-examination. It can change those to different numbers of days, and they'll be needed, and that could shift these numbers. So,
hey, I got an idea. I think whoever does the killing, they need to pay for all this.
Right?
Yeah. Set them up
on that money in Hawaii, though. Come on.
That's true. Set them up on a payment plan. They can work in a little jail, making tags or whatever.
They can make like 3 cents an hour.
Exactly. They can pay this off eventually. Yeah. Yeah. So supplement to state's motion to allow additional evidence. Prior filed a reply to the prosecution's motion for the court to allow additional evidence regarding transporting a jury. In the filing, he says the state's motion fails to provide a proper basis for transporting to Ada County jury to Fremont County for a lengthy capital trial. I was trying to say it like he would say it. He says their supplement ignores and misconstrues relevant law and fails to provide the necessary information to compare cost of a trial in Ada County to a trial in Fremont County and inflates the cost estimates through the state's own costly decisions, failing to acknowledge Chad's constitutional rights that would be prejudiced by transporting a jury from Ada County. Okay, chatty boy, where's JJ's rights and where's Tylee's rights?
Ooh.
And Charles and Tammy, where are their rights?
Preach. Yeah, and this is always the side of covering true crime that just makes me mad, is that the people that did such evil and cruel things to innocent human beings are the ones that are getting every opportunity to, you know what I'm saying? It's just like,
Yeah.
okay, we're going to make sure. And I know it's a constitutional right. I get that, but it still ticks me off because it's like, what were you doing when Tammy was gasping for air? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So the state hasn't provided relevant new evidence or a proper legal analysis that would support a reconsideration. Go Pryor, I don't know. Whatever. So Pryor cites a decision saying the court noted that the geographical distances between the counties makes it impractical for the court to order the transport of a jury from Ada County, and that the court had fully considered factors such as the population base for which to draw jurors from, courthouse facilities and staffing required, courtroom availability for a multi-week, high-profile case, ability to transport and house in custody defendants, control of citizen and media attendance, jury security, and accommodations during trial. Pryor does note that the Supreme Court approved the decision to move the trial on October 20th of 2021. And so Pryor says the cost should not be put above Chad's fundamental trial rights. And because this is a capital case, it requires a greater degree of accuracy and fact-finding than a non-capital case due to the severity and finality of a potential death sentence. I looked up and you were gone. I was like, where in the world did she go?
Well, I could not have kept doing this because Sherlock was hollering at the door. Dummy went out in the pouring rain again. I had him nice and dry. He's soaking wet and currently attacking my leg. Okay. So Pryor says the prosecution fails to acknowledge that death is different and doesn't account for the heightened reliability demanded by the Idaho and U.S. Constitution. He cites the 8th Amendment, which says death is different from all other punishments, and says Chad is afforded process that will guarantee as much as is humanely possible that a sentence of death not be imposed out of whim, passion, prejudice, or mistake. Pryor says that the prosecution says there are applicable cases to argue not moving the trial, but fail to provide any specific cases. He also says the totals the prosecution gives includes unnecessary and costly prosecution decisions. He also says while their filing breaks down costs for lodging, transport, etc., they don't provide a comparison for the cost associated with transporting the jury, and therefore it's not a complete and doesn't provide a proper basis for the court to reconsider. He also says that Sheriff Humphreys demonstrates it may cost more to transport the jury from Ada instead of holding the trial in Ada. He gives the example that the $201,800 of the $269,430 is for food and lodging of 14 deputies, while you would have 12 jurors and the alternate to feed and house if the jurors were brought to Fremont County for trial. Pryor also points out that Humphreys estimates it would cost $55 a day for each for Chad and Lori to be housed in Ada County, but the estimate for housing in Fremont is $100 a day each, according to an article from the Rexburg Standard Journal in 2019, which he cited, and my tongue just did its own thing. Sorry, y'all.
I don't know what that word was, journal.
I think I had a mini stroke. Pryor said the prosecution is estimating that the costly way to move is estimating the most costly way to move the trial. Humphrey says they would have 14 deputies on hand for the duration of the trial, But Pryor said there's no reason to believe that any Fremont County deputy would be necessary since the hosting county would provide the necessary law enforcement services and they would be reimbursed for doing so. I thought that was kind of a valid argument. I don't know if maybe it's because it's so high profile and they want their own people watching Lori and Chad and the jury. I don't know, but I did think that was one of the more valid arguments.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't care where you have it. Just have it and get.
I know, right? Let's do it tomorrow.
Yeah. I feel bad for the people paying taxes because that's who's paying for this thing.
It's true.
Law-abiding citizens are paying for this.
Yep. I really do think Chad will go in January, though. I think that he's ready. I think that Pryor's ready. I don't think they want to delay this.
Yeah.
Which is good for the family.
He needs to be like that other case we're following.
Oh, the Roden?
Yeah.
The Wagner? It's been since 2016.
Yeah. I'm talking about the fast one that just happened.
Oh, the
boys, Orrin Orson
West. They're coming up in like 2 months.
May, yeah.
Before I forget, just today I filed a Freedom of Information Act thing with Greenville County to try and get any and all jailhouse calls with Ariel Robinson, who's accused of murdering Victoria Rose Smith, and also any documents because they just got the Murdoch jail calls. And I read an article, it's a Freedom of Information Act, and apparently South Carolina's really lax on like you get it, you're entitled to it. So I'm hoping maybe the last we had heard she was being evaluated for competency, and that's the last filing, which was in December. So
yeah,
just threw that in. So back to Pryor. Sorry, we get off on these tangents, y'all. If you're new to us, buckle up.
Hold on, buckle up.
So,
dude, I had to reboot my computer
just now.
No, like my computer crashed. I had to redo.
Oh yeah.
Well, I keep getting alerts because I ain't turned my alerts off, and I always forget. So I keep hearing a little dang.
So what Pryor is saying is that bringing your own deputies, it drastically increases the submitted estimates, which he said totaled $207,000 and $207,030 for lodging, food, transport, and overtime. Do you want to pick up here?
Yep, got it. So that equals 83% of his total projected costs for the state's decision to employ their own deputies. Pryor, sorry, you caught me with like ice in my mouth.
I'm sorry, you could have said no.
No, it's all right. Sorry, it's melted now. It's good.
Oh, Sherlock.
So Pryor also says the state is planning to take too many from the prosecutor's office, applicable staff, and law enforcement witnesses for the full 10-week trial. He says there's no need for law enforcement witnesses to be in Ada County the entire time for a continuous presence. He argues that even cutting the number of people required by half is still an outsized prosecution staff. Like, I kind of get it with the officers, so there should be officers there in that county that can.
That was the point that I thought, okay, well, that's valid.
Yeah.
I don't think this trial is going to be held in Fremont. It's going to be in Ada County.
Yeah.
But I know that Rob Wood and Lindsey Blake and Rachel Smith, all those guys are doing what they got to do because it is so inconvenient to move so many people when you could move the jury.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, Boyce is being really cautious. He doesn't want this to come back on appeal, this conviction get tossed, whatever.
Yeah.
It sucks for a lot of people, but
yeah.
If you can strike one reason off the list that this might not end up back in a courtroom, then
Yeah. So Pryor mentions that the prosecution estimates include the assumption that the Ada County jury would be sequestered, and says there's no basis for that assumption. He says sequestering a jury is rare. He mentions that being sequestered limits the jury's communication with the outside world by limiting internet, phone, and TV access, which can be distressing for a jury to be separated from communication with family and friends for a lengthy criminal trial. He notes that the juries for the James Holmes Colorado theater shooting trial, the cat has went crazy.
Oh my
Dylan Roof, the Charleston church shooter, Jody Arias, and
Dzhokhar Tsarnaev.
Yeah, that's the Boston Marathon bomber. So those juries were not sequestered.
I'm going to tell you right now, sequestering a jury, I get why, But I've covered cases where when they're sequestered, they start dropping like flies, and then you start going through your alternates.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think if you can answer all the questions right and you're picked to be on the jury, I mean,
Yeah,
you
I think
gotta follow the rules.
yeah, it's there's pros and cons to having the jury sequestered in that they can't go home and Google, and even though you're not supposed to, I'm sure a lot of jurors do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they get homesick, they got kids they're away from. This is 10 weeks.
Yeah.
That's over 2 months, and I'm telling you, you would have to have a lot of alternates on standby because
Yeah.
12 people aren't gonna make it for 10 weeks.
Yeah. So Pryor ends by saying the prosecution has inflated cost and didn't list available options to reduce cost, such as relying on aided deputies, and in doing so, they argued Chad's constitutional rights are counterbalanced by the cost estimates. Boo, we don't care, Chad. He also says that transporting and have the jury sequestered for a lengthy, high profile capital trial would require the jury to be away from their families for at least 10 weeks, and that could skew the jury pool and undermine the reliability of jury deliberations due to the deep emotional impact of being removed from their loved ones and community for weeks in a very stressful environment where they are making life and death decisions. Okay, my brain just totally went somewhere with this. I don't know if you were watching the day. This was for the, I think this was for the theater, the retired cop. I can't think of his
Oh,
name.
yeah, Curtis Reeves.
It was for the jury selection there, I think it was. And one of the jurors, when they were selecting, the prosecutor reminded her of somebody she was afraid of or something. And he apologized. He said, "I'm sorry that I look similar to whoever did whatever to you." And they dismissed her. They let her go because they said, like, she said she couldn't honestly look at him and not, she probably wouldn't pay attention, is what she basically said.
Yeah, I mean, you're dealing with everyday citizens and people have pasts,
Yeah.
and it's so sad that whatever her situation is that powerful.
Yeah. But that
But you
just
don't
made me
want that
think.
person on the jury.
Yeah. And that made me think, like, this is what you're going to go through selection processes. And you're looking at 2.5 months, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's scheduled for 10 weeks. It could go later.
Yeah. Yeah. So he says past sequester jury members reported long-term effects such as chronic physical or emotional problems, difficulties relating to family, friends, and coworkers, nightmares, resorting to abusing prescription drugs, drinking, and smoking as coping mechanisms. Oh my goodness, my tongue. Developed eating disorders and became physically ill. Dude, if you're a crime junkie though, like we are, I would sit there for 10 weeks.
Girl, I'd be up all I'm gonna go pretend like I live in Ada County. I'm
I
gonna cut
know.
my hair so nobody knows me.
Yeah,
I'm
I'd
like,
be
I've
like,
never heard of this case. Who's
I'll sit
Lori
there.
Fallow?
Yeah, who is Chad? Chad who?
Stealth juror. I'm telling you, Jody Arias had a stealth juror when we were in there when they announced the verdict of like it was life or death, retrial the penalty phase. 11 people went for death, one holdout. And then it was afterwards, I think that person had commented about the case on social media, or she was it was one of those things where we call him a stealth juror.
Yeah. So the last one, Pryor also says the defendant will present their evidence at trial and the penalty phase, and any perceived delay can be seen as the defendant's fault and can cause resentment towards the defendant that could negatively affect their decision making, with Pryor saying this would place a thumb on death's side of the scales.
So I think that both sides have some valid arguments. I totally understand the prosecution's desire to just bust that jury in. It's a lot to move the entire trial. At the
Yeah.
same time, I understand what Pryor's saying, which is like 80% of your cost is deputies that he feels aren't needed. I don't know how that works. I don't know the justification for bringing your own. I'm something I'll have to ask.
Yeah, I don't care where it is. Let's get the ring up, get the boxing gloves on. Let's go.
Let's do it. I'm coming to Boise. I'm telling you, I'm going to be there. Not for 10 weeks, but I'm coming for some of it. I'll probably be in an overflow room or watching it on my phone in my car. Well, I'm flying up, but I'm telling you, man, I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
Because this is like, this case is the one we started with. And this case is the one we did for months. We didn't do anything else. It took us months to do all these backstories.
We held out. We were like, we're not doing another case.
No, yeah, we were like, no, this is going to be like, in fact, I think one of the first names was like the Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell podcast. And then we were like, no, let's do like a neutral name. But the first, I mean, lots of episodes. But you look at how many people are involved or victims, and then you got all the supporting cast of dummies, that believed all this stuff. It was a lot to research. But
hey, I want to say I'm glad Larry got back on Facebook. Something happened with Larry Woodcock's Facebook, and he was shut down, something other, whatever.
Oh, yeah. Because I was like, oh, man, did he get put in Facebook jail or something?
Yeah, it was an act of Congress, I think. Kay finally posted and said, thank you for all your suggestions. We finally got Larry back on Facebook. So,
good deal, because Larry's
welcome
fine.
back, Larry. Yeah.
It's a bad feeling when you get hacked. I'm telling you, when that person ordered over $100 of denture adhesive on my Walmart account, you feel violated.
Yeah. Somebody hacked my account one time and like charged $7,000 on my card. And my bank called me and said, we know you didn't do this. And I was like, you think? Yeah.
At least it was something other than denture cream.
Yeah. You always feel violated.
Yes, you do. All right, guys. Well, just real quick, the Dr. Husel trial, it is a lot of, I would never give that much. Although some of there was a tweet that I put out yesterday that I think Jose Baez is going to have a field day with. So what they are saying is that one of the documents where I'm pulling it up now. Bear with me for a second. Because I've read a lot of opinions on this case. It's mostly people thinking, it's going to be hard to prove intent. But there are a few people who do feel like he had murderous intent. So it says here, we expect, this is from Kathy Russin with Law and Crime. She tweeted out, we expect arguments regarding Dr. Roth and Dr. Swanner's testimony last week that the doctors testified about Husel being the only doctor giving that level of doses. Turns out that info allegedly came from privileged documents that no one can verify. So their testimony is based on these mystery documents nobody can see. So I was like, Jose Baez is sitting in the back going, mm-hmm. The other case I have been putting out since yesterday is this Sherry Papini. She's the woman that faked her kidnapping and her ex-boyfriend helped her do it. And there's some question of whether the husband was in on it. I posted the FBI affidavit on that case. Give it a read if you have it. It is insane. That woman is 50 Shades of Cray. Crazy. She's currently being held by the FBI. She's in bad trouble. And like her husband and her both, after she came back, after the ex-boyfriend dropped her off and she buckled herself like she had been bound, they used the GoFundMe to pay off credit card debt.
Oh, wow.
So anyways, interesting case. Go read that affidavit if you haven't. It is kind of up there with Lori Vallow's imagination of fake things. So anyways, Fruit Loop, I hope you feel better. We will be back with you tomorrow. We're going to, if nothing crazy happens, we're going to dive into those text messages between Zulema and Lori because we got sidetracked and never got to those in the document dump. So we're going to pick back up with that tomorrow and hope you guys have a good day. Share our YouTube, Facebook, all that. We're trying to grow this channel. So share it with people you think might like some true crime.